My wife lied about dinner with friends. I caught her with an internet guy. Hey, true story. My name is Malcolm, and I was recently given your channel information by a friend who told me, man, if anybody needs to tell their story, it's you. I've been holding this in for a while, but I figured what better place to share than a platform where other men around the world are telling their stories, exposing the lies, the betrayal, and the chaos that comes with loving someone who never deserved it in the first place. This is going to be a long one, and I'll warn you up front. I'm not holding back. I've got a lot to say. My story isn't just about catching my wife lying about dinner with her friends. It's about the journey that started years back when I met her in Dallas on a work trip, all the way to the circus that was our divorce, and where I'm at today, sitting in a small one-bedroom apartment in Toledo, Ohio, reflecting on the lessons I've learned. I'll even tell you how I caught her doing a spaghetti noodle kiss with another man, straight out of a cheap Disney movie, but with none of the charm. I met her during a work trip to Dallas about 12 years ago. At the time, I was working for a logistics company that had me traveling around different states to check on warehouses and train employees. I was staying at this mid-range hotel. Nothing fancy, just one of those places with a free continental breakfast and a bar that locals sometimes came to on weekends. That's where I first saw her. She was with a group of friends, laughing, drinking a margarita, and I'll be honest, she stood out. Long dark hair, this kind of confident but playful energy, and she made eye contact with me more than once. I wasn't even planning to go out that night, but some coworkers dragged me down, and that's how it started. We struck up a conversation, and it turned into one of those long nights where you just forget about time. She told me she was working in marketing for a local firm, had grown up in Texas, and was close with her family. At that point in my life, I wasn't looking for anything serious, but something about her hooked me. Maybe it was the way she leaned in when she talked, or maybe it was just that lonely hotel travel lifestyle making me crave connection. Over the next couple months, we kept in touch, texting, calling, FaceTiming. I even flew back to Dallas on my own dime just to see her. By the third trip, I was convinced she was the one. The red flags I ignored. Looking back now, I can see all the red flags waving in my face. Red flag 1, the phone always on silent. She always kept her phone on silent when we were together. If I asked why, she'd laugh it off and say, "Oh, I just hate being interrupted." I thought that was quirky at first. Later, I realized it was secrecy. Red flag 2, the party lifestyle. She liked going out more than I did. Even in her late 20s, she was always down for happy hour, girls' nights, and weekend trips. I'm not saying adults can't have fun, but I was more into building stability. Red flag 3, the jealousy flip. Anytime I so much as mentioned a female coworker, she would accuse me of being interested in them. That was odd, considering how often she seemed to have male friends in her own circle. But here's the truth. When you're in the honeymoon phase, your brain is high on infatuation. You don't process the bad stuff the same way. You tell yourself, every relationship has quirks, so I overlooked it all. I pushed forward. Fast forward a few years, we were married, living together in Dallas. And I'll say this, the first year wasn't terrible. We had good moments, vacations, family dinners, normal couple stuff. But everything changed after she had a miscarriage. That was one of the hardest moments of both our lives, but instead of us growing closer, we grew apart. I tried to be there for her. I went to the appointments, I listened, I comforted her, but she shut down emotionally, and when she finally did open up, it wasn't to me. It was to random friends, coworkers, and eventually strangers online. She started spending more time out, more girls' nights, more work, dinners, more unexplained late returns home. And even when she was home, she was glued to her phone. Something inside me shifted then. I started getting that gut feeling. You know the one. The feeling that your partner's energy just isn't with you anymore. I can't tell you the exact day, but I remember sitting on the couch one night. She had told me she was meeting friends for dinner, but when I texted her to ask what restaurant, she was vague. Just, "Oh, we're trying a new spot. Don't wait up." That hit me wrong. If you're really with friends, you don't have to hide where you are. That gut feeling grew each week. She'd dress up a little too much for a casual dinner. She'd forget to mention which friend she was meeting. And then she started locking her phone. I knew something was up. Here's where the detective side of me kicked in. I had never snooped on her before, but I wasn't about to sit around being made a fool of. I remembered that years earlier, she had shared her phone's location with me when she was traveling to visit family. She probably forgot. I checked, and sure enough, still active. I felt guilty at first, but then I thought, why should I feel guilty? She's the one lying. The next time she said she was going to dinner with friends, I pulled up her location. She wasn't at any restaurant with her usual group. She was at a small Italian place across town. That was it. I knew I had to go. I drove over there, parked a few spots down, and walked inside. I'll never forget the sight. There she was, sitting in a booth with some guy I had never seen before. They were sharing a plate of spaghetti, literally Lady and the Tramp style. Their faces got closer and closer until they kissed. I felt like my entire chest collapsed. All the air just left me. She saw me, her eyes went wide, and she pulled away. The guy just looked confused. I didn't cause a scene. I just turned around and walked out. I think that hurt her more than if I had yelled. The very next day, I started looking for divorce lawyers. I wasn't about to work it out or give her another chance. She had shown me who she was. My lawyer was sharp. First thing he said was, "No contact, block her. Only communicate through me." He told me that women like her, once caught, often spiral into harassment, manipulation, or guilt trips. He was right. She blew up my phone, emails, voicemails, social media messages, crying, apologizing, blaming me, accusing me of ruining our marriage because I didn't forgive her. Classic projection, but I held firm. No contact. She tried everything. Love bombing, long letters about how much she loved me and how the guy meant nothing. Threats. Telling me I'd regret it if I divorced her. Smear campaigns. Telling mutual friends I was cold and emotionally abusive. Drama showing up at my workplace to talk. At one point, she even pretended to faint outside my apartment building. Luckily, the security cameras caught everything, and my lawyer used it to prove harassment. It was exhausting. When the hearing finally came, it was a circus. Her lawyer painted her as a hurt woman who made a mistake after trauma. They tried to spin the miscarriage into justification for everything. She even cried on the stand, saying, "I didn't mean to hurt him. I was lost." My lawyer, though, was ready. He brought out the location records, the photos, the messages. He asked her straight up, "Were you with another man at this restaurant while telling your husband you were with friends?" She had no answer, just crocodile tears. The judge saw right through her. Thankfully, Texas isn't the easiest place for cheaters. I got a clean break. No alimony, no property split. That screwed me. Just done. So here I am now. I left Dallas behind and moved back closer to where I grew up. I'm in a small apartment in Toledo, Ohio. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. I downsized big time. No more big house, no more trying to impress anyone, no more unnecessary debt. And you know what? I'm happier. I sleep better. I don't have to look over my shoulder wondering what lie is coming next. I work, I save, I live below my means. And if you're interested, true story, I'd love to send a follow-up email just about that, about how every man needs to make as much money as he can, live below his means, and forget credit. Debt is a trap. Freedom is owning your time and your peace. Downsizing and moving back to Ohio. When I left Dallas, I didn't just leave a wife, I left behind the house, the furniture, the impression, lifestyle. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Toledo, Ohio. People ask me sometimes, don't you feel like you lost everything? And my answer is, no, I gained everything. I gained my peace of mind. I gained my freedom. I gained control over my finances and my life. See, before all of this, I was living like a lot of people do in America, paycheck to paycheck, even though I was making decent money. Why? Because I was trying to maintain a lifestyle that wasn't sustainable. Big house, new car, fancy dinners, weekends out. I wasn't living for me. I was living for appearances, and part of that was because of her. She liked nice things. She liked to show off on social media, and I went along with it. Moving into this small apartment forced me to strip all that away. And guess what? I don't miss any of it. The biggest lesson I've learned since divorce is this. Money is not about status. It's about freedom. I used to think making money was so I could spend it. Vacations, restaurants, gadgets. Now I see money for what it is, a tool. A tool that buys time, options, and peace of mind. I live well below my means now. My rent is low, my car is paid off, and I don't buy things I don't need. I'm not out here trying to impress anyone. If you came into my apartment, you'd see a couch, a bed, a desk, and a TV. That's it. And that's all I need. I cook at home. I brew my own coffee instead of dropping $5 at Starbucks every morning. I don't have a credit card anymore. Everything I buy is with cash or debit. If I don't have the money for it, I don't get it. You'd be amazed at how freeing that is. When you're not in debt, when you're not living above your means, the stress melts away. I can breathe. I can save. I can plan for the future. Let me talk about credit for a second, because I know this is controversial. The whole world tells you that you need credit for everything. Build your credit score. Use credit to get rewards. Leverage debt to make money. You know what I call that? A trap. Credit is how banks own you. They dangle the shiny card in front of you, make you feel like you've got free money, and then they bleed you dry with interest, fees, and debt. I played that game once. I bought furniture on credit, a car on credit, electronics on credit. Before I knew it, I was thousands of dollars in debt, paying minimum balances, watching interest eat me alive. Never again. Now, if I want something, I save up and pay cash. If I can't afford it, I go without. Simple as that. And let me tell you, living debt-free is better than any reward points a credit card company can give you. Now, don't get me wrong. Living below your means doesn't mean living small. I still believe every man should be trying to make as much money as possible. Not because money buys happiness, but because money buys freedom. I work hard. I take overtime when I can. I've picked up side hustles. I'm learning new skills. Every extra dollar I make isn't going toward a new car or some stupid gadget. It's going into savings and investments. I want to stack cash. I want to build a safety net so big that no woman, no job, no economy can pull the rug out from under me again. That's what true independence is. Some people think downsizing means I'm miserable. Let me paint you a picture. I wake up in the morning in my quiet apartment. I make a pot of coffee, sit at my desk, and check my accounts. I cook breakfast, eggs, oatmeal, nothing fancy. I head to work, put in my hours, come home, and go for a walk around my neighborhood. I'm not worried about bills piling up. I'm not worried about whether my wife is lying to me. I'm not worried about debt collectors. On weekends, I go fishing. I read. I write. I work on small projects. I'm not living some flashy lifestyle, but I'm at peace. And that's something no amount of luxury ever gave me. I can't tell you how much calmer my life is now, how compared to when I was married. Back then, every day felt like a storm. I never knew when the next lie was coming, the next fight, the next guilt trip. Even before I caught her cheating, I felt that constant anxiety. Now it's quiet, no drama, no games, just me, my work, and my peace. And here's the thing. Men underestimate how much money and relationships are tied together. When you're broke or living paycheck to paycheck, you're stressed. When you're stressed, you're vulnerable. That's when manipulation works. That's when women can control you, when jobs can control you, when the system can control you. But when you've got money in the bank, when you live below your means, when you owe nobody nothing, that's when you're free. If any man out there is listening to this and wondering what to do after divorce, here's my advice. Cut the lifestyle inflation. Don't try to maintain the same life you had when you were married. Downsize. Start fresh. Eliminate debt. Pay it off. Cancel the cards. Live cash only. Stack cash. Save every dollar you can. Build an emergency fund. Increase your income. Side hustles, overtime, skills. Don't be lazy. Don't date right away. Focus on yourself. Heal. Build your foundation first. Forget impressing people. Nobody cares what car you drive or how big your house is. They care if you're stable, calm, and reliable. I'll never live the way I used to live again. I'll never max out credit cards to buy furniture for someone else's Instagram. I'll never finance a car just to look successful. I'll never let a woman's expectations push me into debt. I've been there, I've done it, and I almost lost myself because of it. Now, I live simple, I live free. I've mentioned before that I live in a small one-bedroom apartment. Some guys probably imagine that as miserable, like sitting in a dark room with nothing but a mattress on the floor, but that's not what it's like at all. My place is simple, but it's clean, organized, and calm. I've got a couch, a TV, a desk where I do my side work, a bed that I actually sleep well in because I don't have anyone tossing and turning beside me or blowing up my phone at 2 a.m. with drama. I come home from work. I set my keys down on the counter, and you know what? The place is exactly how I left it. No mess, no passive-aggressive notes, no tense silence. Just peace. That's underrated. Some nights I'll put on a movie, some nights I'll cook a new recipe, and some nights I'll just sit with a book. The quiet doesn't scare me anymore. It used to. Back when the marriage ended, I thought silence was loneliness. Now I see silence as freedom. Being single means I run my life exactly how I want. I wake up when I want, eat when I want, clean when I want, and no one has an opinion about it. If I want to eat cereal for dinner, I do. If I want to stay up until 2 a.m. watching documentaries about history, I do. If I want to take a road trip on the weekend, I don't have to ask anyone's permission. That's something a lot of married men forget. They don't even realize how much compromise and negotiation fills their daily lives. When you're married, it's constant. What do you want for dinner? Can you do this for me? Why did you leave that there? Every day feels like a committee meeting. Now, my time is mine. Now I'd be lying if I said I haven't thought about dating again. I'm human. I see couples out at restaurants. I see friends posting their relationships online. And yeah, part of me wonders what it would be like to have companionship again. But then I remember the chaos, the lies, the emotional roller coaster, and I remind myself, I'm not in a rush. I've had women show interest, old acquaintances who heard I'm single again, women from dating apps. Yes, I tried them briefly, and even a coworker or two who dropped hints. But here's the thing. When you've been burned the way I was, when you've had your trust shattered, you don't jump back in just because you're lonely. I've made a decision. If I date again, it'll be on my terms, after I've fully built the life I want. And if the right person doesn't come along, that's fine too. I'd rather be alone in peace than with someone in chaos. Let me tell you a quick story. About 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I downloaded a couple dating apps. I thought, maybe I'll just see what's out there. Within a week, I had matched with a woman who seemed nice enough. We talked. We met up for coffee, and by the second meeting, she was already telling me about her ex, her financial problems, and how she just needed a man who could help her get back on track. That was my red flag right there. I could see the future playing out in front of me working hard, her draining me emotionally and financially, history repeating itself. I deleted the apps that night. That experience confirmed what I already suspected. I'm not ready, and I don't need to fill my life with more drama. People ask me if I get lonely. The answer is, not really, because I've built a solid circle of friends. Most of my close friends are guys I grew up with in Ohio. They've been there through thick and thin. We don't hang out every day, but when we do, it's good. Grilling out, fishing trips, catching a game, or just sitting around talking. There's something about male friendships that's grounding. No drama, no hidden motives, just straight conversation. I also keep busy with coworkers. Nothing crazy, just the occasional beer after work or grabbing lunch. Enough to keep social without feeling smothered. And honestly, some of the best company I've had is myself. Once you get comfortable being alone, you realize you don't need constant entertainment or validation from others. One of the best things about being single is time. I didn't realize how much of my time in marriage was eaten up by her demands, her plans, her chaos. Now I've got that time back, and I've been putting it into things I actually care about. Fishing. Cheap, peaceful, and rewarding. There's nothing like being out by the water early in the morning. Reading. I've been tearing through books, finance, history, philosophy, stuff that actually builds me instead of wasting hours scrolling online. Cooking. I used to hate it, but now I enjoy it. Trying new recipes, making meals that actually taste good and save money. Side work. I've been doing small freelance projects, writing, consulting on logistics, even helping friends with budgeting. It brings in extra income, and it's satisfying. When you're not drained by relationship drama, you suddenly find energy for things that make you better. In my last email, I talked about how I live below my means and don't use credit. Let me expand on how that ties into my single life. When you're single, money goes further. There's no second person racking up bills, no arguments about spending, no trying to keep up appearances. My rent is low, my expenses are minimal, and every extra dollar goes into savings. I can't emphasize enough how much peace comes from looking at your bank account and seeing growth instead of debt. That's a form of confidence that no woman can give you. Let me tell you how I even found your channel in the first place. It was a random Tuesday night after work. I was sitting in my small apartment in Toledo, staring at the wall, trying to fight off that heavy feeling that creeps in when you're alone after a divorce. My place is quiet, just me. No kids running around, no woman telling me to take the trash out, no laughter bouncing off the walls, just silence. I was scrolling through YouTube, just looking for something, anything to distract me. That's when one of your videos popped up in the recommendations. The title was something like Ex-Wife Regrets Cheating After Divorce, and man, that hit close to home. I clicked it without even thinking twice. I sat there watching you read another man's story. His situation was different than mine, but it was also the same. Different names, different locations, different small details, but the same pattern. The lies, the gut feelings, the betrayal, the gaslighting, and then the divorce. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't crazy, like I wasn't the only one who went through it. That video turned into another and another. Before I knew it, I'd burned through a dozen of your uploads in one night. I was sitting there at 2 a.m. listening to these men share the rawest parts of their lives and thinking, damn, we're all connected in ways we don't even realize. That's when I knew your channel wasn't just content. It was something bigger. See, here's the thing. Men don't usually get spaces like this. Women have whole support systems built into their lives. If a woman gets cheated on, She can tell her friends, her coworkers, her family, and most of the time, people will rally around her. They'll say, "You're so strong, and you'll get through this, and he didn't deserve you." They'll validate her pain, whether the guy was 100% guilty or not. But when a man gets cheated on, the story is different. People shrug it off. They say, "Man up," or "It happens," or "You'll find someone else." Sometimes they even laugh like it's a joke, like being betrayed by the woman you committed your life to is just another bump in the road. Nobody tells men, "You're strong for walking away." Nobody tells men, "You deserve better." Nobody gives men the space to just vent, to just talk, to just put it all out there. That's why your channel matters. It gives men that space. It gives us a place to tell our side of the story without being shamed or mocked. It gives us a voice when most of society tells us to just shut up and take it. And more than that, it lets other men see that they're not alone. That's huge, because when you're sitting in the middle of a divorce or after you've been cheated on, you feel isolated. You feel like the biggest fool in the world. You feel like you're the only one dumb enough to fall for the lies. But then you listen to another man's story and you realize, wait, he went through the exact same thing. I'm not the only one. I'm not broken. I'm not stupid. I'm just human. That changes everything. That's why this channel isn't just entertainment. It's therapy. One of the things that's blown me away is the comment sections. When you read a story and then I scroll down, I see men from all over the world chiming in. Some are sharing their own stories. Some are offering advice. Some are just saying, "Stay strong, brother." But the point is, it's men supporting men. That doesn't happen enough. Most of us grew up in a culture where men are told to compete with each other, to one-up each other, to never show weakness, to never admit pain. But here, on your channel, men are doing the opposite. They're saying, "Hey man, I know how this feels. I've been there. You're going to make it through." That's powerful. That's not just content, that's a brotherhood. And I've even commented myself on some of the videos, not even telling my story, just telling other men to keep their head up. And the crazy thing, guys reply back, they thank you. They share more. It's like this ripple effect. One man's story gives another man courage, and then his story gives the next guy courage. You can't measure that in views or likes. That's something deeper. That's building community. I don't know if you realize how big this is going to get, but I do. Men are starving for spaces like this. We're starving for honesty. We're starving for community. We're starving for someone to finally say, "Yeah, men go through hell too, and here's a place to talk about it." When I see your channel growing, when I see the subscribers going up, when I see the engagement, I feel proud, not just for you, but for all of us. Because this means the message is spreading. This means more men are going to find the channel the way I did, sitting alone in their apartment, feeling like life is over, and then stumbling on one of your videos and realizing, wait, I'm not alone. I'm not done. I can fight back. I can rebuild. That's life-changing. I honestly believe you're saving lives. That might sound dramatic, but think about it. Divorce pushes men to the edge. Being cheated on destroys a man's sense of self-worth. The stats don't lie. Men are way more likely to take their own life after divorce than women are. That's not a coincidence. That's because we don't have the same support systems. But your channel, it's a lifeline. It's giving men a rope to grab onto when they're drowning. So yeah, I'm proud. Proud to see you do it. Proud to see men supporting each other. Proud to be part of it by sharing my story. I've been thinking a lot about legacy lately. What we leave behind. What actually matters. My ex-wife, she left behind chaos, lies, destruction. That's her legacy in my life. She'll always be the woman who betrayed me. But me? I want my legacy to be different. I want to leave behind wisdom, lessons, strength. I want to be able to say, yeah, I went through hell, but I didn't stay there. I got out, and I left behind a map so the next man could find his way too. That's why I keep writing these emails. Not just for me, but for the next guy. Because somewhere out there, there's another man who's right on the edge of catching his wife lying. Or maybe he just caught her and feels like his world collapsed. And he needs to hear from someone who's been there. That's the bigger picture. That's what your channel allows us to do. To take our pain and turn it into a roadmap for someone else. To make sure our scars aren't wasted. To make sure the next man doesn't walk blindly into the same traps. That's powerful. That's meaningful. That's legacy. I know I've said this a few times already, but I want to hammer it home. The most beautiful thing about your channel is seeing men support men. I've gotten messages from old friends since my story went up. Guys who went through their own divorces but never talked about it until they saw my name pop up. It's like giving permission for men to finally open up. Like, oh, if Malcolm can share his story, maybe I can too. That's what changes the culture. For too long, men have been silent about this stuff. Silent about the betrayals, the pain, the heartbreak. Silent about the lessons. And when men are silent, women get away with rewriting the narrative. They get to play the victim, even when they're the ones who cheated. But when men talk, when men support each other, the truth comes out. The patterns get exposed. The cycle gets broken. That's what you're doing here. I won't drag this email out with too many personal updates since I've already given you those in the other parts. But I'll say this, I'm in a better headspace than I've been in years. And a big part of that is because I don't feel like I'm carrying this weight alone anymore. I know now that there's a brotherhood out there. I know now that if I want to hear another man's story, I can just click on one of your videos and instantly be reminded that I'm not crazy, I'm not broken, I'm not alone. That gives me strength. And I want to keep giving back. I want to keep sending updates. I want to keep telling my story because maybe, just maybe, some guy out there in the middle of Ohio or Texas or New York or even halfway across the world in another country is going to hear my words and think, all right, if Malcolm can make it through, so can I. That's what it's all about. So I'll wrap this up here. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for creating this channel. Thank you for giving men a platform. Thank you for letting us share our voices. Thank you for building this brotherhood. I'm proud of what you're building. I'm proud to be part of it. And I'm proud to see men finally supporting each other instead of tearing each other down. Keep doing what you're doing because it matters more than you know. And if you're interested, I'll send updates. I'll keep sharing what I've learned because this isn't just my story anymore. It's our story. It's every man who's ever been betrayed, every man who's ever had to rebuild, every man who's ever felt alone. We're in this together. Malcolm.